Hi, Greg Parsley, Superintendent for the VCSC. Just to provide a quick update from Monday's board meeting, as we promised that we would start doing that. And I will say we put all of our detailed press releases online on the school corporation's website, and that covers everything that was discussed at Monday's meeting. First order of business was to hold our budget hearing. We did that. No one spoke out in opposition or support of the VCSC budget. That will now move to the last and final process, as the board will be asked to adopt that in October. What we did really focus upon, we had some call it celebrations. When it comes to some of our employees, we recognize Kelly Eck. She is our social worker at Vigo Elementary. And Mrs. McCarty was able to recognize her publicly before the board, and we appreciate everything that Mrs. Eck brings and does to Vigo and the VCSC. We also recognized Renee LaMontoya at the high school. Renee came on board a few years ago, kind of somewhat adjunct, as she was still working at VU. A lot of people know Renee for all the countless photos that she takes throughout the VCSC and shares those with parents and students. We certainly appreciate the work that she does there, but she was recognized as the high school employee of the month, as she teaches science and has actually in large part come on board full-time for the VCSC to help us out when we lost a chemistry teacher this summer. We also recognized Mrs. Leanne Eck as the Indiana Small and Rural School Teacher of the Year. That is for the entire state of Indiana, and actually Mrs. Eck now moves on to the national competition. Mrs. Eck teaches language arts at the middle school. We'll actually get the opportunity to celebrate Mrs. Eck in Indianapolis next Tuesday morning, as she will be recognized before the Indiana School Boards and the Indiana School Superintendents Association as being the Indiana Small and Rural School Teacher of the Year for the state of Indiana. So huge congratulations to Mrs. Eck. Huge thank you to Mr. Clark for that nomination. Within personnel, I'm going to highlight a couple, and again, all of these are online. Whitney Clinton joins Clark Middle School as the life skills teacher. She actually comes to us from the Southwest Regional Youth Village. So we're happy to have her. She lives in Washington, and appreciate everything that she is doing in the short period of time that she has joined us. And then we also added Ashlyn Krigbaum, and Ashlyn comes to us also via Washington. Actually, her mom teaches for us, Tanya Stahl, a longtime teacher for the VCSC, but Ashlyn joins us as our guidance counselor for Vigo and Tecumseh-Harrison, and she had previously been working in Washington, so we appreciate Ashlyn. The only other thing that I would draw your attention to within the consent agenda, I don't know that folks always realize, but within our elementary schools, and we have after-school tutoring options across the board throughout the entire VCSC, but thanks to a partnership with Duke Energy and also United Way, we can provide after-school tutoring within our elementary schools. Again, we can do it K through 12, but specifically I'm focusing upon the elementary schools. If that's something that is of an interest to you, you can certainly reach out to those schools. The last item that the board took action upon, and Mr. Hill, who oversees all of our grants, brought a slew of grants ranging from our Title I to our rural schools and school safety grant. That school safety grant comes from the state and actually helps us when it comes to our school resource officers and pays for one of our school resource officers. So that in a nutshell was in large part the VCSC board meeting. The board meets again Monday, October 24th, 7 p.m. here at the VCSC Administration Building. So until then, thanks, and we appreciate your support of the VCSC.